Givatayim sits just east of Tel Aviv, essentially functioning as an extension of the city while maintaining its own distinct character. It's one of the smallest municipalities in Israel by area, but densely populated, with a reputation for being clean, safe, and well-managed. The city has historically attracted secular, middle-class Israeli families, and in recent years it's become increasingly popular with young couples and families who've been priced out of Tel Aviv but want to stay close. The Anglo community here has grown organically rather than through any organized effort. Unlike Ra'anana or Modi'in, which actively marketed themselves to English-speaking immigrants and built infrastructure around their needs, Givatayim developed its Anglo presence more gradually. Most English speakers who end up here came because they found an apartment they liked, had friends in the area, or wanted easy access to Tel Aviv's job market without paying Tel Aviv prices. The result is a community that's present but scattered, without a central address or organizing body. Social connections among Anglos in Givatayim happen mostly online and through word of mouth. The Facebook groups covering the area tend to be active, with people posting about everything from recommended pediatricians and English-speaking dentists to apartment rentals and secondhand baby gear. WhatsApp groups exist for more immediate communication, often organized around specific interests like parenting, running groups, or professional networking. Getting added to these usually requires knowing someone already in the group or asking in the Facebook communities. For families with children, Givatayim's public schools are generally well regarded by Israeli standards. The city invests in education and has a reputation for strong GAN, preschool options. However, there are no bilingual or international schools within Givatayim itself. Families wanting English language education or bilingual programs typically look at options in Tel Aviv, such as Tabitha School, Thelma Yellin, or the various international schools, though these come with significant tuition costs. Most Anglo families in Givatayim send their children to local Israeli schools and supplement with private English tutoring or after-school programs to maintain English literacy. The religious landscape in Givatayim is predominantly secular, which suits many Anglos who aren't looking for an Orthodox community. There are several synagogues in the city, mostly traditional or Orthodox, but none specifically cater to English speakers. Anglos who want services in English or a more Anglo-oriented community typically travel to Tel Aviv, where options include Beit Tefillah Israeli, a progressive congregation that attracts some English speakers, or various Orthodox options in areas like the Old North. For the high holidays and Shabbat services, some Anglos make the short trip to congregations in Tel Aviv that have English-speaking rabbis or more international memberships. In terms of daily life, Givatayim offers good infrastructure. The city center around Katznelson Street has shops, cafes, restaurants, and services. There's a small shopping mall, Canyon Givatayim, which covers basic needs. For more extensive shopping or dining options, Tel Aviv is just a few minutes away. The Arlosarov train station in Tel Aviv is accessible by bus, making it possible to commute to other parts of the country, though most Anglos in the area work in the Tel Aviv metro region itself. Healthcare is accessible with Kupat Holim clinics in the city. Finding English-speaking doctors requires some effort but is doable, often through recommendations in the Anglo groups. Many professionals in the Tel Aviv area speak English, so appointments don't necessarily require fluent Hebrew, though having some Hebrew certainly helps navigate the system. The housing market in Givatayim has become expensive, though still somewhat less than equivalent apartments in central Tel Aviv. Most housing consists of apartments in mid-rise buildings, ranging from older constructions from the 1960s and 70s to newer developments. Anglo families often look in the areas closer to Ramat Gan or near the Givatayim parks, which offer green space in an otherwise urban environment. Rental prices for a 3-bedroom apartment typically range from around 7,000 to 12,000 shekels per month, depending on the building's age, condition, and exact location. Parks and outdoor space are a notable feature. The Givatayim National Park, despite its grand name, is essentially a large urban green space that's popular with families. It has walking paths, picnic areas, and playgrounds. On weekends, it fills up with families, joggers, and people walking dogs. This is actually one of the places where Anglos sometimes encounter each other informally, since it draws residents from across the city. For professional networking, most Anglos in Givatayim tap into the broader Tel Aviv ecosystem. There are various Anglo professional groups, entrepreneur meetups, and industry-specific networks in Tel Aviv that residents of Givatayim participate in. The startup scene in particular has a strong English-speaking presence, and many Anglos work in tech companies where English is the working language. One challenge Anglos in Givatayim mention is the lack of a critical mass for certain activities. In Ra'anana, you might find an Anglo book club, English language mommy and me classes, or regular social events organized by and for English speakers. In Givatayim, these things exist, but are smaller and less consistent. Some Anglos find this isolating, especially during the adjustment period after making Aliyah. Others prefer it, feeling that it pushes them to integrate more into Israeli society rather than remaining in an Anglo bubble. The social dynamic also differs from more established Anglo communities. In places like Ra'anana or Modi'in, there's a clear pathway for new immigrants. You join the Anglo community, get introduced to services and social networks, and gradually build your life with significant support from other English speakers. In Givatayim, the process is more self-directed. You might meet other Anglos at the park, through your kids' school, or online, but there's no welcome committee or established onboarding process. This works well for people who are independent, already have some Hebrew, or have connections in Israel, but can be harder for those who need more structured support. The demographic tends to skew toward people who've been in Israel for a while, or who came with strong Hebrew skills. Fresh off the plane Olim often start in places with more Anglo infrastructure, and might move to Givatayim later once they're more established. There are exceptions, of course, but the community overall has fewer resources specifically designed for new immigrants compared to the major Anglo centers. If you're considering Givatayim and want to connect with Anglos before moving, the best approach is to join the relevant Facebook groups and start asking questions. People are generally helpful about sharing information on apartments, schools, and services. You might also reach out to Anglo real estate agents who work in the Gush Dan area, as they often have insight into which buildings or neighborhoods have more English speakers.